Hey Sparkies, this week for Green Jewel 3.2 and Green Jewel 3.3, you will see the last 12 books of the Old Testament. These are the writings of all the minor prophets. Now remember, we said they are not minor because their words were less important than the major prophets. All the words of the prophets are messages from God, which makes all of them important. So let's talk about Jonah. He's pretty famous. A lot of people know about Jonah and the whale. At least they know there's something in the Bible about Jonah and a whale. So let's dig into that and see if there's anything new we can learn. God called Jonah as a prophet. A prophet receives a message from God and delivers it to the person or people who God intends to receive the message. So God told Jonah to go to the city of Nineveh and call them out about the evil that existed throughout their city. The people of Nineveh had a big sin problem. So I have a map for you. Okay, so let's see. So Jonah lived here. And this is Nineveh, so that's where God told him to go. But instead, he came southwest. Instead of northeast, he went southwest to a city called Joppa. And he got on a ship, and he intended to go all the way over here. So instead of going this way, he intended to go that way. All right, so let me point out first that Jonah deliberately disobeyed God. He knew what God told him to do, and Jonah chose to do something else. In other words, Jonah sinned. But why might Jonah have chosen sin over obedience? Well, there are a couple possible reasons. Jonah didn't like the people of Nineveh. Nineveh was in the country of Assyria, and Assyria was a threat to the nation of Israel. So they were which was Jonah's nation. Okay, so why would he want to go warn a country that was their enemy? In chapter 4 of the book of Jonah, Jonah told God that he went the other direction because he knew that God is gracious and merciful, that God is slow to anger and overflowing in love. Jonah did not want the people of Nineveh to have the opportunity to turn away from their evil ways and be saved. Wow. So Jonah got on a ship headed for Tarshish, and he went into the inner part of the ship and he lay down and he went to sleep. Then a terrible storm came up. The sailors were all terrified that the ship was going to be broken apart. The sailors were not believers in the one true God, so they all started praying to their fake gods to save them. The captain came down, woke up Jonah, and told Jonah to pray to his God. Jonah told the sailors that he was running away from his God. Jonah knew that it was his fault that they were experiencing the terrible storm. He told the sailors to throw him overboard so that they would be saved. Well, they didn't want to do that. They knew that Jonah would drown if they threw him overboard. They continued to struggle to row to shore, but when they were unable to do so, they prayed to the one true God, and then they threw Jonah overboard. The storm immediately stopped. The sailors all thought Jonah had drowned, but God still had that job for Jonah to do. Go warn the people of Nineveh. The Bible says that God appointed a great fish to swallow up Jonah. God used the great fish to save Jonah from drowning. Jonah spent 3 days inside that fish. Then the Bible tells us that the fish vomited Jonah out onto dry land. God spoke to Jonah again, and he told him to go to Nineveh. This time, Jonah did as he was told. He went into Nineveh, and he warned them that in 40 days God was going to destroy them because of their great evil. There were about 120,000 people who lived in and around Nineveh. The Bible tells us that all the people believed God and turned from their evil ways. When God saw this, he changed his mind and did not destroy Nineveh. Now, instead of being joyful that 120,000 people believed in God and were saved, Jonah was angry with God for saving them. And when the book of Jonah finishes, we don't know if Jonah ever got over being angry with God. I hope he did. I hope Jonah got to a place where he was thankful that all those people believed in God and were saved. Now, next week, we are going to have a special Easter large group lesson, and you will be finishing Green Jewel 3 by saying all the books of the Old Testament at one time. You've been learning them a little bit at a time and singing them every week, so it shouldn't be too hard. Have a great week, Sparkies, and I will see you again next week.